What's up, guys? It's Trevor from Tandem RC. We're with Alex also. We're going to review my Axial Yeti. Going to go into detail about things I like about it, things I don't like, a little bit about things I would change on it, and some things that I would like to see either aftermarket or on it from the factory. There'll also be some running video and comparison of difference in driving between 2 and 3S, and then there's other running videos and there will be more videos of this truck working on it, putting upgrades on and stuff in the future, so stay tuned for those. But for now, let's get started on the review. My thoughts on it, just looking at it and the first time I saw it, is that it looks really cool. I've seen a couple of pictures of people putting short course bodies on them and stuff. I thought that looked pretty cool, and I'd like to do that at some point. I have a Traxxas/Raptor body that I'd like to cut the back end off so it'll still have these light buckets back here.
Put mine over it real quick.
Yeah. And then just have the back of the cab cut off, because it'll fit better that way. The Yeti is a little bit longer than most short course trucks. As you can see here, this body's for a slash. But just cutting it at the back of the cab right here, I think would look pretty cool. So I'd like to do that at some point. That was one of the ideas I'd seen from other people who had had them before me. And it's what I was thinking about when I first got the truck in the hobby shop. But the cage, the roll cage for it, looks really cool, and it's definitely functional. This thing really does well when it rolls over, and so far it's been a very tough truck. You'll see some videos in this review of me jumping it 15 feet up the side of a tree and landing flat down in the street, upside down and on its wheels. I've done a lot of hill climbing stuff, running up the side of a 30 or 40 foot dirt mound. Alex had his Rustler there, and it wasn't really doing very good being two-wheel driving for the street, but I was getting this all the way up there, and I'd get up to the top of the hill and it would flip over and just tumble all the way down, and sometimes just fly over the other side. And I haven't broken anything on this truck yet, with exception of the bead keeps blowing off the rims on these, but I'll get to more of that later. This body, I don't know what the actual thickness is of it, but it seems to be pretty stout, and there's a lot of molding lines in it that give it good structure, and it's bolted on pretty well. It hasn't cracked or ripped or anything. I like how this is designed, that when you have the body pins on, this will open up like a clamshell style with these hinges back here. But for the review now, I just took the whole body off so you can see things better. So here's the truck without the body on it. You can see it comes with a Axial Vanderguard system, which is made by Castle. It comes with this tactic servo that seems to be okay. It's a little sluggish, but it seems like it has enough torque. It doesn't come with a battery, so I was using a Traxxas 2S LiPo I had laying around, and recently bought a Venom 3S. For radio, it comes with one of these FlySky style Axial AX3 2.4 gigahertz transmitters. It's pretty basic, but it does the job for now, so that seems to be okay. Overall, it's a very well designed truck. It's relatively easy to work on, and like I said earlier, it's been very durable. The manual for this truck is really good. It shows you what all the different adjustment points for the sway bar and your rear upper links, what all that does and how it affects how the truck will handle and that kind of stuff. Some of the things that I don't like about the design, though, is that it doesn't have adjustable links for toe or camber. I'd really like to see that. I believe that the kit version comes with that. This is an RTR version that I have, and I plan on just using some slash links that I had laying around, just some of the steel ones. Also, the front shock mounts positions are kind of limited. There's 3 on the top and 2 on the bottom. it kind of seems like no matter where you mount them, there's just a little bit too much angle on them. But that's really just me. I mean, they work fine. For adjustability in the back, you have a mounting hole here and a mounting hole further back here for the shock, so you can lay it down more, let it sit down. And there's another mounting hole up here that'll raise it up. This is the stock position where I have it now. It seems to be fine for me. It works well. The only thing I've changed so far about the suspension is different shock oil, because when I got this truck from the factory, there was not enough oil and there was a lot of air, and when you pushed it to about here, you were already in air. So there's probably about a centimeter or a centimeter and a half left of suspension travel, and it was all air. I like that it has a rear sway bar, although I feel like it gets in the way of itself sometimes. It is very effective though. I've driven it with and without the sway bar on, and when you want to go fast, the sway bar is awesome. It really helps a lot, especially with driving on the street. But when you want to go slow and crawl, taking the sway bar off is great. It comes off with 4 screws, but I think that a cool thing that they could have done, either aftermarket, and I think that someone has done this now, or from the factory, is to make quick disconnects for the sway bar. So it'll come off in like 2 screws and some body clips or something. I'll probably try and figure that out and make one for myself. It has a locked rear diff, so both tires turn the same speed all the time. The front is a sealed oil-filled diff, but it does still have a diff up there. It seems to handle okay on the street when you're turning with a locked rear diff, but it'd definitely be really cool to have optional locking diffs like what's on the Summit. It'd be difficult on the back, but it would be a cool feature up front to have that controlled by the remote. Things that I don't like about it from the factory, other than a couple of the things I mentioned before, is this battery compartment. It's nice design, one body clip, and this opens from the side, but what is annoying about it is that the only way to adjust the height of this top plate that holds your battery in is 4 screws. They're all easy to get to and you don't have to take anything else apart, but when I go from my 3S, which is what it's set up for now, down to this 2S, you can see that there's a lot of space in here, and I would just fill it with foam, but I also have other batteries that are even skinnier than this one that just don't fit like that, and they have fallen out. They've only fallen out of the battery tray because the body does hold pretty tight to this truck, but I mean they do get smacked around when you're jumping and all that stuff. Other than that, the only thing I really have... Alright, we're back. Camera died, so new camera angle, and back to the review. So, what I was saying about things I don't like about it, besides the battery tray, is that I don't like the receiver box on this truck. It's all waterproof, which is really cool, and it's well sealed. It loads in from the bottom, which is kind of cool and kind of annoying at the same time. But what I don't like about it is that it is really, really small. All that I've got in there right now is the receiver, which is like a FlySky style one, which are really small if you've never seen them before. They're about half the size of a Traxxas receiver. They're just really slim, and they fit nicely into a lot of tight packages, but this is a pretty tight package. All that I've got in there is the speed control wire, the servo wire, glitch buster, which takes up the most space even though it's not a very big one, and a little bit of wire to run these lights that I put on the front, and then cut the wire on with the body, flipping it over and having fun. So I don't really like that about it, but the good design comes back with this truck because this box right here, that's a scale gas tank, if you look at it from the back, it's got straps and everything, it's pretty cool, is empty. So I'm sure if I wanted to, and I could make this a receiver box, or I could put an auxiliary battery in it to run lights and fun stuff like that. This is huge though. It's a really, really big place to put another battery or whatever other things you'd like. So that kind of redeemed itself on its own fail. Other than that, I really don't not like anything about this truck besides the rims, which I said I'll get to later. A lot of the things that I do like about it, other than it being tough, how it looks, and things I've said before, is something that's true with like all Axial kits of how much extra parts they come with. They come with extra replacement parts for the drive shaft. There's like 3 extra drive shafts in this because it has a 3-piece drive shaft. So you have the first output and then a sliding center section that goes between the two, and then the rear part that goes back to your diff. I've heard other people saying that this wears out. Mine's twisted a little bit, but it's really not that bad. It still goes back and forth with relative ease, but it doesn't bind or anything. It doesn't have any problems, so I don't know. I'll let it break. Like I said, it came with more, so it's all cool. It came with a couple extra light buckets and light mounts and that kind of stuff. It came with shock parts. I think it came with extra caps and then other pistons and stuff like that. Came with extra body posts,
pistons and rod ends.
Yeah, these are shock rod ends here, and then these are the sway bar knuckles that go on the end of this.
And it came with a bunch of other parts too.
Yeah, it came with some of the extra roll cage parts, and then like the drivers in here have heads. It came with another set of heads. There's one that's a skull. It's a pair of them, and then there's another one where they're wearing racing helmets, but they're like motocross style. And
an obnoxious amount of servo horns.
Yeah, which I think is cool. It came with a 23 and a 25 tooth servo horn, plus what's on it right now, which I think is a 25 tooth. Then it came with 25, 24, and 23 tooth servo saver bottom sections. Then this is the middle section that goes inside of the outer piece of the servo saver if you decide to run one, although this truck does have a built-in servo saver in the steering bell cranks. And speaking of the steering bell cranks, that's actually one other thing I don't really like about this truck, is that it does have a pretty decent amount of play in it. Not really, I mean, there's some side to side, but it goes up and down a lot. I haven't had any issues with it, but it just kind of, it squeaks sometimes and it annoys me. But I'll wait till anything breaks before I replace that. That's really all about this. So I'm going to take off one of the rims and show you the problems with that. Alright, so here it is with the rim off, and you can see here's where the bead of the tire should be, and here's the bead of the tire. I didn't take this off. Well, I guess I did with the throttle control, but I've heard that this is a pretty common problem with Yetis, that the stock rims just won't hold tires on 3S. It was fine on 2S. I never had a problem with it, but, why would I just live with that? So, I'll probably be getting another set of rims for it soon. I would like to just glue them, honestly, which I would do if I didn't hate these foams so much. They're open cell foams, and they're just the cheap, crappy ones, and they absorb water like sponges. Which makes the tires really unbalanced, and they smell bad and rot and make your room smell like crap and all that. I have tried running it without the foams in it, and you'll see that in the clip of me jumping it up the side of a tree. I was running without foams. It definitely had good traction, but the tires didn't stand up as much on the rims. They were being pushed and pulled over to the side like this the whole time I was driving it, and even when it was sitting still, the tires didn't sit right. But when I didn't have any foams in it, I did have the rims sealed. I just put a piece of electrical tape around the inside so it would cover up these breathing holes that are right here and right here. But I was finding that when I was jumping it without foams and I was jumping it up the side of the tree, which you'll see in a clip later, that when I was landing, I was blowing the tires off the bead like you would on a real car, popping tires and that kind of stuff. So it has its drawbacks, but I think it would be a lot better on a trail and doing hill climbing and rock crawling and stuff without foams. But when you want to jump it, you definitely need foams. I just don't want to do the back and forth between those all the time. Something that I would like to see for this truck or like to have would be some closed cell foams, but I mean those are usually pretty stiff from what I've seen in all my short course trucks and that kind of stuff. So they wouldn't be as good on a trail, but like I said, it'd be better with air in them. The foams and the rims are really the only thing I don't like about this. I like these tires. Heard a lot of people say they don't have traction and stuff, but I don't know what their idea of traction is, because when you stand on the brakes in this truck, it'll do front flips like just nothing. And when you have the rear sway bar off, it'll three-wheel around everywhere and do wheelies, and it's crazy. These tires do have traction. They're good. They're okay on grass. That's kind of a weak spot for them, but they're good on dirt. They're pretty decent on gravel. I mean, these really aren't a very gravel-friendly tread pattern, but they seem to work pretty well there. They're a good all-terrain tire, and they're good. I think these are a pretty good stock tire. Yeah, so stay tuned for some videos of me driving it on various surfaces, hill climbing, driving on gravel, a little bit of cement, speed runs and stuff, which is kind of pointless for this truck, but took some videos anyway. So, yeah. Doing the speed comparison between a 2 and 3S LiPo with an Axial Yeti on stock gearing. So here's what the GPS shows, 0 miles an hour. We haven't started anything yet.
Resetting it. Alright. Again, this is a 3S run. This is completely stock. Go all the way down so you can get there. Come back for final pass. Alright. Not bad.
The highest speed on there is 23 miles an hour about.
You can see 22.9. Not bad.
That's about the limit, really, for this battery. I mean, I could gear up, but it was kind of hot when it was warmer the other day. And this battery's got about 20 minutes of like hard running on it. So I'll probably do another one in a couple charges. This battery also only has 3 charges on it. It's literally brand new. So I'm going to put a 2S LiPo in it now and see how fast it goes. Alright, we're back. I'm going to reset it from the previous run. Everything's set back to 0 now. This is on 2S. Stock gearing, no changes have been made.
Alright, we got a max of 16 miles an hour.
Not super impressive. This battery, like the other one, hasn't been charged much recently, so I'm sure we'll see some variations of this speed, but really for what this truck is intended to do, it's pretty good.
Yeah, very good increase too. Like good percentage, not good speed, but you know what I mean.
It's got really good acceleration. It's got a ton of torque. So I'm happy with that speed. It's good for what I do with it. I don't really run this truck on pavement that often, other than when I'm making videos like this. So you can't see the truck at all. There it is. Yeah, so I'm happy with it. So
Thanks for watching, guys.